Hey horror fans, welcome back to another episode of Terror Talk where I discuss creepy clips online. The original horror music that you hear in these videos is composed by me. I am also a huge horror movie fan, so if you'd like my top 5 horror movie recommendations and frequent horror movie reviews sent straight to your email, check the pinned comment below after watching. I also have another free gift that will inspire that creepy side of your imagination. Now let's get into it and have some fun.
I live on the East Coast. There's a lot of homesteads around here, or just in general, off-grid cabins and houses. Some of them aren't fully off-grid, but they're just far out and on large properties with 40-plus acres of land. It's normal around here to buy used tools and equipment from neighbors or others in the area. At the time, I was doing construction on my property and was in need of a flatbed trailer for my truck so I could haul more materials from the hardware stores.
Have you ever lived in an area like that? Let me know in the comments below. For me personally, I never have. I've always kind of lived in suburban neighborhood type deals. But yeah, let me know in the comments below if you've ever lived in a place like that. It definitely looks remote and not a whole lot going on. And I'm honestly not sure I like that. I kind of like to keep busy with things. But let me know.
These are absurdly expensive, but since almost everyone around here has them, there's a lot of used ones people want to get rid of. Craigslist was the first and only site that I checked on. There were actually a bunch for sale, and I sent out multiple emails. Only one of them replied though, and we scheduled a good time for me to stop by. All I really knew going into it was that his name was Devin and that he had what I needed. Again, this was a super common thing around here that I'd done a million times before, so I had no worries going into it. I drove about an hour from my place through mostly national forest roads until I made it to his driveway. It was like most around here, just a thin gravel road into the woods. I drove through and up to his house. It was a very small and really old-looking wooden cabin with a clearing in the trees leading up to it. The thing that I first noticed though was that there was no flatbed trailer on the property. I mean, it's a huge thing. It couldn't just be hiding behind a tree or something, so I expected to see it right when I pulled in. The only thing I could think of was that there must be a garage or shed in the back that he kept it in. Anyway, I parked in the grass and got out.
I feel like people are oftentimes too forgiving in these types of situations, and that's why they get themselves into trouble like this, because if you're a lot less forgiving, then you're going to be more aware of these little red flags and signals, because that was kind of a crazy picture there of that cabin, wasn't it? Like, it way out in the secluded middle of nowhere, and not to have the trailer nearby or whatever. I don't know, it just seems kind of fishy to me. But yeah, I just feel like a lot of people are not as forgiving, or they need to be less forgiving, I guess, if I'm saying that correctly. I think you know what I mean. But just have a more cautious air about you when you're getting into these types of situations.
I stood there for a few seconds to see if he'd come out and meet me, but he didn't. So I walked up to the porch and knocked on the door. While waiting, I couldn't tell if any of the lights were on inside. The curtains were covering the windows, and the sun was still setting, so it was too hard to tell. After waiting for a whole minute, though, nobody had come to the door, and I started to feel like nobody was even home. Then I got a text. It was from Devin, saying to come around to the back of the cabin where he had the trailer at. I felt something off about it, but also I did assume that it might be kept in the backyard, so I walked around to at least have a look.
Yeah, already. In these types of situations when like, oh, come around to the back, or you get someplace late at night and it's completely abandoned, just weird situations like that. Come on, people, think. Is it really that difficult to see the red flags in these situations? I just don't get it.
When I looked around the corner, all I saw were trees. I walked a bit further, stopping on the side of the cabin just before reaching the back. There wasn't even a clearing behind the cabin. It was just woods, going as far as I could see. I'd had enough at this point. I started walking back to my truck, but suddenly heard something behind me. I turned and looked at the woods again, not seeing anything. What I heard sounded like someone approaching from just around the corner. I continued walking, quickening my pace, before hearing loud footsteps pushing through the grass behind me. I only caught a small view of the guy charging at me before I booked it from my truck. I don't know if he gave up right away, or had something else in mind, or what, but when I got in and looked back at the cabin, the guy was gone. I got out of there, drove to the nearest town, where I got in contact with the police. The short of it is that the state didn't even know about any cabin built on that land, as it was supposed to be an unoccupied parcel. When they investigated, it was clearly abandoned. With there obviously being no intent to sell me anything, the guy was definitely setting me up for some kind of harmful intent. My guess is that he was hiding along the back wall of the cabin, waiting to jump me as soon as I came around. Luckily, I knew something was up and didn't walk all the way back there. If I had, who knows where I'd be right now.
Yeah, I think that's pretty crazy that people will actually plan shit out like that, because it's so messed up what people will do to other people for whatever sick gains they have in mind for themselves. So just be cautious of these types of situations, and if you ever feel like something is off, don't ignore it, because something is telling you that it's off for a reason. And right away, just this cabin right here with no other trailer or nothing else is definitely not a good thing. It's definitely a red flag for sure. So I thought this was a creepy story, and definitely something to not get yourself tied into. And I think just staying away from Craigslist in general is probably a good idea. You can find what you need pretty much on Amazon. In my opinion, there hasn't been really anything that I haven't been able to find on Amazon that I need, so why waste your time and potentially put yourself in danger with Craigslist? But I thought this was a creepy story, and I hope you enjoyed my commentary and the music, and I will see you in the next video.